The Bunker Project, podcast episode number 16. This week on The Bunker Project, we talk more about the vitamin B1 patch, games on phones, flash-based games, Twitter, and much more. Welcome back to another episode of The Bunker Project. My name is Andrew McGivern, and I'm here with Bob Garlick.
Yeah, that's my name.
So this is take 2 of
I know.
Of episode 2.
Ouch.
And what we were doing a few minutes ago is we were recording an awesome episode.
Yeah,
it was like a kick.
It wasn't that. Okay.
Kick butt
He's in the
episode.
phone industry, and it was a lot of stuff about phones and stuff.
We talked a lot about...
You would have been bored. You'd have turned off the shows. Oh, no. Andrew's talking about phones.
It was
oh
an
my
awesome...
God.
It was an awesome discussion about putting on...
BlackBerry phones.
BlackBerry...
Putting on
6.
illegal systems on a BlackBerry. You know.
It was awesome.
But nobody uses BlackBerries.
Got into the Android, we got into the iPhone, and then I realized that at some point when we were... See, on the Tascam, when you hit record, when you hit the record button...
It flashes red
it puts
saying,
record,
I'm on pause.
pause.
I'm on pause.
And then you have to hit it a second time to actually put it on record.
You were just excited about the phone conversation.
And we're using this B1 patch in this...
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey.
This time.
I am so high, man. This B1 stuff is awesome.
So thiamine, we're suffering from thiamine.
ODing, man. 75
yeah.
milligrams of it in my system, man. It's just like exuding out of my skin.
So the theory of this,
are so pissed off.
The theory of this thiamine is that vitamin B1 it helps to counteract the toxic effects of alcohol, but
Yeah.
it clearly states that it doesn't counteract the intoxicating effects of alcohol.
And the brain.
Yes. So.
I think it's just going to do a brain wipe. We'll wake up in the morning and say, what's a hangover? You know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. It makes you forget that you had the hangover. That's how it works.
It's a clean...
So we're going to find out tomorrow morning if it actually works.
Reinstall.
And we will tell you next week. And if we're still using the patch, that means that it worked. And if we're not, then you know the answer.
But you know, it's weird. All you people that don't live in Vancouver, we don't get a lot of mosquitoes here. Now in Alberta, dusk comes and you'd be sitting there having a beer outside in a balcony and you hear this, and that's the sound of huge clouds of thousands and thousands of mosquitoes just ready to carry you off. They don't bite you right away. They pick you up and take you to their lair, like spiders. And they wrap you in this mucus stuff.
It's just
and
as
then
bad,
they suck your blood
if
forever.
not worse, in Manitoba.
I mean, the RCMP go nuts.
Holy smokes!
Another missing
Manitoba,
premise. Oh.
The mosquitoes are the size of horseflies in Manitoba. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and Manitoba horseflies is the size of horses. So
everybody
that's where they got the name
like,
from.
Everybody smells like DEET in Manitoba.
Actually, they look like they've been snorting DEET a lot of times, man. It's like, whoa. Yeah. Anyways, hey, you're not from Manitoba, are you?
No.
All right.
No, I'm from Alberta.
So,
what part of Alberta, though? Southern or
Southern
north?
Alberta.
Southern Alberta.
Southern Alberta.
So what phone is
South
the
of
best for
Calgary.
games? Trying to recreate the last
allure.
lost episode.
What's the best phone for games? Right now it would have to be iPhone. Well, the iPhone has a lot of developers.
But what about an iPad? Wouldn't that be better?
Well, iPads are good. Right now, mostly developers are looking at the iPhone, though, because of the install base of the amount of handsets that it has. And most of them are also just releasing iPad versions of their game, just high definition. So it's basically the same programming. Just
Hey, does the iPad have that tilted
Gyroscope?
world type of thingy? Where
The
you
accelerometer?
Yeah,
it does.
Cool. All right, I'm happy.
yeah, people seem to really like the gyroscope or the accelerometer games. Like Angry Birds is.
Oh, it's huge. Everybody.
Huge.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, just to
Angry
bring
Birds is
Leo
awesome.
Leo Laporte back in again. That's they go, oh my God, Angry Birds! Oh, I've got it on 4 devices. Blah blah blah. Hey, that guy has got so much technology like lying around. He's got these new guys. Oh yeah, I just gave her the new Mac Light. What is that? The thin, tiny.
The Air.
skinny- Thank you.
The Air.
The Air. The Mac Air. Oh, here, I've got an extra Mac Air. You have it. Oh, do you want this?
That would be sweet to have an extra one lying around.
Oh, he's got tons of stuff lying around. And he complains that he has to buy it all. His whole opinion is if I'm going to review something, I'm going to buy it so I don't have a biased opinion. And then the one of his co-hosts, which is the grumpy tech guy, I love this guy. He's just like, Mr. Conspiracy Theory.
Oh, that guy's hilarious.
Oh, he's awesome. But he gets given all this technology because he writes for a pulp-based communication device, magazines and newspapers.
What's that? Magazine.
Yeah, I know. But in the manufacturing industry, if you write for a magazine or a newspaper, you get given all this technology to write about, and I don't know if you get to keep it, but
You know, there
I
was
don't think he gets the stuff back. But Leo, because he's on the internet, he doesn't get that. And so he buys this stuff, and he's got all this technology, right? He's got like 7 or 8 cameras lying around the studio.
Oh, yeah.
That's a badass job.
He's got
You know,
it
he
set
makes
up.
1.5 million, but he spends almost $2 million dollars.
He made
in technology.
1.5 million like 3 years ago.
Okay, so he makes
Last
2.5
year's
million.
2.5, and I don't know what he's making this year.
He's not making enough because he's probably spending it all on technology to review the darn stuff.
Well, I guess it's...
I would love to go to his garage sale. Hey, look at the iPad.
Hey, Bob, what's the difference? We're spending all our money on technology. We just have a smaller
black beer.
studio.
Black beer.
Oh, yeah, I
Black
forgot
beer.
about the black beer. Yeah.
It's more
That's an
meaningful.
expense.
Well, at least right now because I've been drinking it. Tomorrow morning I'll be, I
Speaking
didn't
of-
even get a hangover.
Speaking of magazines, there's this really cool, I think it's called News Press or something like that. I'll put it in the show notes. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but there's this awesome iPad app. It's not just for iPads, it's for the Galaxy Tab, and even on a PC or Mac, you can bring it up on a regular PC screen.
So
And-
tablet magazine, you mean?
Yeah, and so you pay, I think it's $30 a month, and you get access to the whole world's newspapers and magazines.
Oh, you were showing me that.
And
That is
it
awesome.
Awesome. Like we saw him at the
If you
at the
like to
home
read a
show, and he's going to come on the show. I don't know when. He should have been on here by now, but he'll come on the show soon, and we'll I don't know how we're going to do it because it's going to be a
Maybe
visual
a
thing.
kidnapping or something?
We'll have to describe it very articulately.
Oh, you're talking about the thing. I thought about getting the guy on the show, going there, maybe see a little bit of ether, and then, knock him out and chain him to the chair and say, hey, you're conscious. Great. We're just about to start the show.
No, that's what we're going to do.
where am I? What's going
We're going to
on?
do that when we get Pamela Anderson on the show.
No, we've already got our own Pamela Anderson back there with her huge tracks of... Oh, never mind. If you were listening to the last show, I'm commenting about our waitress.
Or bartenderess.
Whatever.
That's what you call them.
Okay, bartenderess.
Yeah. Okay. So
What? What were we talking about? I thought we were talking about games.
we were talking about games on phones and the
Oh
best
yeah,
platform.
Angry Birds. Angry Birds. That was the whatever.
Segue, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So has anybody played Angry Birds?
I finished it.
What do you think? You finished it? You got
Yeah.
past level 22?
I got past everything. I haven't got like 3
Leo would
stars
be
on,
impressed.
on everything, but
There's starting to be some clones of it coming out now.
yeah.
Wow, I'm not into that. I'm into like smashing down the castles. I love that.
That's kind of like Angry Birds. You launch your bird and it
Smashes a
smashes
castle.
a castle or whatever.
That's the whole point of Angry
Yeah.
Birds.
Oh,
So you love Angry Birds.
He already loves it. Yeah.
I already love it. It's just a different. Hey, look at it. It's all flash-based games. There's only so many scenarios, and there's the one where you throw a turtle. Did you want that you launch a turtle and how it smashes?
Or what about
and
the one
crashes?
that
That's kinda like it.
you toss the paper into the
Into the
garbage
bucket.
can?
Yeah, that was an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was lame.
Kitten Cannon was the first one I think that did shoot
like
stuff
that.
out of a cannon.
Yeah.
The penguin, throwing the penguin on you would like zoop him up. Oh no, it was a penguin in a shopping cart.
Wow.
That wasn't bad, but no, it doesn't compare to some of the. It's all about upgrades. You make some points, you upgrade, and you shoot it further, you get more points. But
Yeah.
after a while, what was it? There's a one where you go up and you're going up into space. And, yeah, they're addictive, really addictive.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
definitely addictive.
But once again, it goes back to the badge case. You like this instant reward. It's the next generation of games. You don't play the game to end the game. It's how can you accelerate the game and get to the end of it the quickest.
So you said the iPhone is the best.
Well, yeah, they just released their newest release to kind of counteract the Windows Live platform by using Game Center now. So it's an alternative to the OpenFaint environment for developers as well to be able to share their games.
You think it's easier to get in because a lot of problem with working with Mac. There's like so many parameters, and you got to this, and you got to that.
There is
and
quite a
they
few.
Killed a lot of stuff.
It is definitely a little steeper to get involved in. I mean, it's only $100 to get part of the developer's license and get the ability to publish for the iPhone. But you do have some strict.
Yeah, you're waiting through the paperwork. The money isn't a big deal. It's like, oh my god, we got to do this.
Well,
It's
and you
kind
have
of
to
like
waiting for when you get your submit your app, and
it's kind of like doing a tax return.
it can be too.
Yeah, I
And
mean, God.
But putting the achievements in has definitely made it a lot easier with Game Center and OpenFaint and other companies that have been trying to push that forefront into the gaming business.
So who do you think's the when say forefront of the gaming business? Who are the guys that are actually pushing that envelope and doing really cool things within the parameters and still getting published?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's kind of hard to pick out people that are really pushing the envelope. I mean, EA's shown a lot of support for the mobile handsets, releasing a lot of stuff for the iPhone App Store, like Scrabble and all those games for the iPad. So it's kind of turning it from being just a solitary device with one person to a family device with 4 people, because you can each connect your iPod touches with the actual board itself and then actually play like a full game. So you still got that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so you've kind of got the ability to play a game with people while just using one solitary device to kind of collect all the information. So I think that things like that are definitely advancing how we're using the technology. Anything that uses photo based, or there's one that a lot of people really liked. It was put Justin Bieber's hair on your friend's picture. So you take a picture and you just tap on it and you get a picture of Justin Bieber's hair on top of your head you just took. Yeah, and you can upload it to Facebook. So
it's weird because we just finished Halloween and there was a lot of Justin Bieber hair happening.
Yeah,
it was very strange. What's going on with that?
Okay, so
who is Justin Bieber? That's what I want to know.
In terms of
Is it
mobile
some
games,
patriot Canadian.
you're saying that the
hang on.
iPhone.
There's a sexy girl just came in here. She's posing.
She's coming to take away
All
our
right, she's
empties.
just taking away the empty.
Do you play iPhone games?
I don't have an iPhone.
Do you play any games?
I play lots of games.
Head games.
Yeah. But
Not handheld?
she's got different devices.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just leave it at that.
This is a family-friendly show.
Wow.
Well, I'll take notes with you later, okay? Thank you.
Is that a multiplayer game?
I hope so. Hey,
So
what
hang
about-
on.
okay, all right.
The iPhone's got
It's got Game Center.
Game Center.
Yeah.
So
And OpenFaint. So those are ways for people to kind of add each other. And
So now we were talking about, before we figured out that we weren't even talking about anything except to ourselves, we were talking about Sony bringing out the PlayStation phone.
PlayStation phone.
And that's going to be built on Android, is it not?
That's what they say. They say it's
Yeah.
supposed to be the Android OS.
So
That would be cool.
Should be interesting.
So
I mean,
that
well, it
should
depends
be,
what they do with it.
That should be really cool.
I don't know.
So we'll
Sony's
have the
been
PSP games on
Hey,
an
come on, let's
Android
face it,
platform.
Sony has a really
Maybe
bad
possible.
reputation for really crappy hardware recently, like 10 years, and Samsung's just been taking the boots to them. Really, Samsung. I got into Samsung when I bought a camera for my wife.
Sony hasn't been
20
in the
years ago.
game except for their partnership through with Ericsson.
I know.
They've
Yeah,
got
those are
Sony
terrible
Ericsson.
phones, though.
Yeah, and so since the Sony Zuma,
It's a bad bet.
back
Sony is a
in
bad bet.
The day. I loved that phone. It was a little square phone with a little flip down arm, like a slot machine.
Dude, you're living in the past.
Yeah.
And there's no square phones that flip out anymore. Hey, flip phones.
Yeah.
What's with that?
Flip phones.
Man, I mean, that's retro. You have a
Definitely.
flip phone, like a 7-inch flip
They
phone.
just TELUS is just launching the BlackBerry Style, which is a BlackBerry flip phone.
Oh, that's not a flip phone.
That's
The
a
slider
slide
phone?
That's
Slide
a slide.
phone. Yeah.
Slide phones are the new wave.
I'm getting the HTC Surround slide. Windows 7 phone, and it's got a slide, but it only slides up like a quarter of an inch.
Like the BlackBerry.
To reveal the surround sound speakers, 5.1
who needs
Dolby
surround
What? Are
Surround.
you serious?
Oh yeah, and it's got the bottom of the phone at the back has a little kickstand that folds out, so you slide up your speakers, kick the stand out, put it down, watch your videos,
Huh.
Start the
or
love
listen to
fest.
the Bunker Project
Interesting.
or whatever you want to listen
Does
to.
it communicate with the other Windows 7 devices? So if I had like a video I was watching on my phone, I could watch it on my TV?
I'm sure there's a way to do it, but the only thing is it doesn't have that. It doesn't connect with Wi-Fi like the LG Optimus does, unfortunately.
Darn.
Hey, what I want to know, and I know this is going to be the future of games, and it's kind of starting with Foursquare now. They're starting to do it. Is like a game that actually gets you out of the basement, gets you out of the house, and makes you go to places, find something, log it in, and then you get to go to the next level.
You're
next level.
speaking of this is not a game.
Well, yeah, and Foursquare has actually started doing something like that.
There is Nike just did a campaign in London where they had people they were going running and they have to check in at 4 different phone booths as they go through their run, and actually each quadrant is mapped to particular areas. So you just enter your code in and you run around the city and you gain points for your team. I don't know what the prizes are for that, but it seemed like kind of an interesting.
Yeah, that they did the same thing with the marathon in San Francisco. Actually, there was a lot of people running with a new program, and it actually tracked all the runners because they were running with their phones, and it gave stats on the distance and the miles per hour, and you could actually follow people on your computer or your iPads in the crowds. So it's a game before where you'd be watching the runners. Oh yeah, that was kind of interesting, and you drink your coffee and trying to kill the boredom. Or you're like, wow, look at the guys doing this and that. And so imagine if you're doing that for all sports, which aren't really participation based, where you can participate. Let's say the formula races. Like, you ever watch a formula race? It's like you're standing there and it's an empty road, and zing. It's like, okay, well, there was a car just went by, I'm sure. But if you had an iPad and you could like watch what the guy was driving, because they all have cameras, and you could log in and you could be doing stuff like that. That would be awesome.
I think NASCAR might actually have that feature on their online to be able to go into each car and watch that person's particular race.
Right, but can you imagine being at the event, getting badges by doing stuff, by giving suggestions, and then talking with the pit crew, or maybe you have maybe not a pit crew, but your virtual pit crew, and that would be kind of cool, right?
If you're in the good seats, you get the big screens with all that stuff anyways.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the people that actually spend money on this stuff, the real people in the world, not the big C corporate guys that don't really give a care,
The fans. You're talking about giving something back to the
people that are passionate about it, right?
Turn left at the next corner.
That exactly. Sort of, I mean, you could do a rally that everybody that goes to the NASCAR race would do on the way to the NASCAR race, and then the winner of the rally got to hang out with the winner of the race in the cocktail lounge. With all the crazy effects.
That'd be a good publicity stunt for
well,
NASCAR.
this is the marketing mentor speaking here.
But you know what? That's taking
idea
EA should totally sign you up for that. I mean, you could totally have you win the race
EA
here
would be
at the
awesome.
you come here to Daytona, you can race in the Daytona 500 that we put on. All the kids. Take it on. That would be a great idea.
Well, I think if you want to bring it to the next level, what you do is you would have a series of competitions, and the person that was the best at organizing and doing the virtual pit master and the virtual this and the virtual that, they would come and make a super team, and then those guys would compete against the real team. So the real team racing would verse the virtual team racing, and in real time. And I'm sure you could do that. You could make the same parameters and the problems and all that type of stuff, and see who would win. The guys that were doing an interpretation of the reality through this game, which would be a really good benchmark for EA, because hey, we are so real. The virtual team won by 3/16 of a second compared to the real team.
Yeah,
and we had this day. That could be like a 6-month campaign to bring guys in. It'd be awesome.
Definitely, they have that sort of stuff for their hockey teams right now and stuff like that.
What if the virtual team had a warp drive or something?
Yeah, what if they were hacking?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole
thing.
What
if they implemented Star Trek technology in the virtual team?
Yeah. You could cheat, but then if you win, you're not going to get any kudos for that, right? But if you're playing the game true and you beat the guys in reality using your virtual machine, that's awesome. I mean, that's and I'm sure it's happening already in the U.S. Army and stuff like that, where guys do the drone manipulation, all that. Those are the type of training missions those guys are on, and you don't get to cheat that game.
No, America's Army, you can actually get court-martialed for killing other players in their virtual world, which is actually
wasn't that
about
2 years ago? Didn't they have the U.S. Army put out a free game, and you could download? It was like 100 megabytes. I did it, and the first thing you learned was first aid. And you had to do this first aid thing, and I passed. And then you could go in the field as a first aid guy. Yeah. And once you did so many hours, then you could upgrade to become a private, and you could work it. And all it was doing is training. If you like this and you're into this, why don't you join the Army?
Totally.
And it was a marketing tool. It was really, really cool.
Was it better than Top Gun?
Yeah, it was pretty good graphics, man. It was as good as any of the computer games that were out there that day.
Because it was free. At the time when Top Gun came out, the movie Top Gun with Tom Cruise, the U.S. Army got their biggest recruitment in history.
Well,
who doesn't want to fly a plane? I mean, that would make perfect sense.
What's interesting about Top Gun was one of the first times that a studio went to the Army and said, hey, listen, we can't afford to make this movie by building all these equipment. So if we portray you in a positive light, not a ridiculous light, but positive light, will you give us carte blanche? And the Army was smart enough, and I must admit, I know a lot of people in the advertising industry that have worked for the military, they are really good at marketing, and they get it, and they don't mess around. And they said, sure, absolutely, no problem. And from then on, all these Hollywood movies were able to do amazing stuff. There was like a Good Morning Vietnam. Even though it was on the edge, they got tremendous support from the U.S. military, which is kind of ironic based on the message.
They actually call that message militainment now. That's like their new standard.
Nice.
For it,
which
is entertainment that provides the military in a positive or
militainment.
Yeah, militainment.
Militainment.
Well, they put like $200 million in that video game back then, and they're still continuing to update it.
Hey, $200 million, not a lot of money.
It's a drop in the bucket for like defense budget spending and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, for advertising spending.
The funny thing also about that game was also that both sides actually, when you were playing it, you only saw U.S. soldiers, but when you're playing the other person, it changed into an enemy. So it was kind of weird how you'd be going around shooting other U.S. soldiers, but it would just be a decal change that would change the players. So, it was kind of...
I think...
What was that?
If you're playing in a game where there's other teams playing against you, what they did is they everybody was playing for the good guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you were kids. I'm going to be the good guy. You're going to be the bad guy. No, I don't want to be the bad guy this time. No, you're going to be the bad guy. So in this game, when you're the good guy, and if you're joined, obviously the good guy, anybody you're playing against is the bad guy. But the guys that are bad guys think they're the good guys, and you're the bad guy, which ironically is exactly what war is. Because looking at like the Crusades, all these crazy knights came down from England and say, hey, we're fighting for God and the Christian way, and we're going to beat the hell out of these guys because we're the good guys. And all the Muslims saying, hey, all these crazy English guys that have crappy beer, hey, they're the bad guys. Come on, we got our dark beer. We got to fight for it. So, boom, boom.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
That's the reality.
What was that game that had a lot of controversy because you actually could play from the
Wheel of Fortune?
Taliban?
It was Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor, that's right.
Tier 1, to be a Tier 1 operative. It was the first time they've actually worked in collaboration with the U.S. military about their Tier 1 operatives.
Wow.
And so you could play as the Taliban. And they were quite upset, people in
because
general.
the Taliban kept on winning.
Well,
no,
it was going to be actually a single-player story, supposedly, for playing it from the side, but they didn't want to do that because they thought it would be disrespectful to the soldiers that are going out there right now, which is what the U.S. military said, I believe.
Well, they have to be safe.
From Kotaku, that's where I'm getting my sources, just to tell the podcast listeners at home.
So Kotaku is a .com?
It's a gaming website.
And what's the URL?
It's www.kotaku.com.
Cool.
It's
I'll check it out.
It's a video gaming blog. Carries a lot of the news of the day. It's part of the Gawker Media syndicate of like Jezebel, Gizmondo, Lifehacker, any of those good sites. So.
Hey, by the way, you haven't even introduced yourself. This says
sorry.
He just waltzed in, he pulled a gun, he said, hey, I'm going to be talking about games. You guys talk about games. The hell with your social media.
No, but social media and games are like
totally.
Totally.
Actually, I think I read a stat that something like 65% of social media is games.
Yeah, well, 65% of female users on Facebook are using it to play games, and that's...
Is there that huge network? This woman went out to make female-based games that are less violent and more... Yeah, she made a network, and she said, you know what? It's not fair that we've got all these male-based games that are all death and killing, and we want to have games that are for the female psyche, which are more about, folding laundry, and... I'm just kidding. No, there was more like...
I'm sorry.
I just couldn't help myself.
It sounds like one of those Ubisoft games like We Cheer or something that they sell at Toys R Us for the little girls.
Yeah, basically...
Cheerleading games?
Well, actually, yeah, it's been quite prevalent with some of the manufacturers to do that.
The games for women are all about achievements. You do this and you get here, and you do this and you get there, and that's what it's about. It's not about like, I'm going to dominate you and kill you, now I get my achievement. It's more about let's cooperate, let's work as a team.
Definitely, with women gamers is definitely they definitely feel the need to connect as a community and collaborate. It's kind of interesting, especially with Farmville, because when you go to visit somebody else's farm, the fact that you could actually plant something for them or actually help them out, it finds that.
Hey, do you play Farmville?
I gave up on Farmville about 2 years ago.
Because I had to kick you out. 2 years ago?
No, maybe not 2 years ago. Like last year around Christmas.
Okay, last week. Okay, yesterday. Okay, this morning.
I've never
just
played
before
it.
The game.
You've never played Farmville?
I've never
just
played
lucky.
it. No, people keep telling me I should be playing.
I would say no. I've actually lost some friends to that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Yeah, because
they
they went
steal
and
your-
they salted his fields.
actually, no,
The
they
Romans
stole
are
your
you
sheep?
salted your fields.
well, this isn't a friend of mine, but I read an article
No,
that
not
actually
anymore.
said, well, this is actually a really good story about Farmville. But recently there was a woman who shook to death a 2-year-old baby.
Oh, because she was getting in the way.
getting in the way of playing Farmville.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's just brutal.
yeah. She went and had a cigarette, shook her baby, went back, shook her baby again, and then went back to Farmville. So
It was the
it can be
subliminal
very-
things. It's like plant some corn, shake your baby, milk the cow, shake the baby, have a cigarette. No, just
No,
kidding.
no.
It's not that. No, but that's obsessive compulsive behavior.
Totally.
And just to let you know,
That game
we're gonna
rewards that
segue-
kind of behavior, though.
But you know what? We're segue to Japan, and there's the game called pachinko, and there's been many cases where people and all pachinko is metal balls dropping with some nails in a board, and they got little clackers. I mean, it's not that sophisticated. There's no specialty graphics, and a lot of bing, 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 and people spend hours and hours and hours and hours playing to win these metal balls. And there's been cases of child abandonment because the woman has been so addicted to getting these metal balls. Now, with the metal balls, you can get piles of these metal balls, like a bucket full, and you take it to the person at the front of the game, and they give you little plastic boxes, or you can have some cigarettes. The plastic boxes you can take down the road and trade in for money or products. So, it's a loophole for gambling in Japan because you're not allowed to do that. That is why I don't gamble. I have enough trouble with black beer and the bunker project. I can't wait to do a next one. It's like that's why I've doing. Oh, hey, did I tell you about my new podcast? Did I get to promote my podcast?
No, let's hear it.
Okay, no, didn't we talk about it? Or maybe the mic wasn't on. I just
No,
started a new
we
podcast
didn't talk about
with a lady. I did the first show today. We're uploading it, so within a week I'll have it up and running on iTunes. But anyway,
say the name?
Yeah, it's a great name.
Garlic and plum.
Jam.
Garlic and plum jam.
Yeah, garlicandplumjam.com. It's his crazy name. And we're kind of like jamming with ideas. So I met, she's a publicist, a PR specialist, and we sat down at a party, and she is just like, she's my doppelganger. So blah, 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 and she's blah, 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 blah. It was really hilarious. And I said, geez, we should do a podcast. And a mutual friend of ours said, yeah, and she'd call it Garlic and Plum. And because her name
Her
is
name's
Plumley or Plum something. Anyways, so Plum, that's all I know her as.
Plum.
And anyways, so we upgraded to Plum Jam because that was cool. And so one of the
you're
things-
jamming.
Yeah, exactly. We're jamming about creative ideas and stuff like that and PR.
So
and
Bob's
whatever.
been thinking about this podcast for a while called the Great Idea Podcast. He was going to do it by himself,
all by myself. Oh.
but he found
Hey, I
someone
found somebody
who's
to play with.
also got great ideas.
Yeah, so we made a new sandbox with jam and garlic in it.
Yeah.
Good. Actually, she's got a friend of hers that's really into doing stuff like that, and she's going to see if she can make a garlic and jam chutney recipe.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. That could be good.
Put that on some nice crackers or something like that,
Yeah, or some curry. Some curry man.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I think remember we had that standby thing we were going to bring in if we didn't have anybody show up, and we were going to talk about it, and we never actually did. It was the map of the social sphere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the way back.
And on that one,
It's been updated.
There's one that shows
Facebook's the whole of China now.
There's one that shows the games of social media and how the games
Yeah.
are dominating social media.
Have you
which is
seen
really
that?
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool.
Hey, that was a kind of a segue by my obtuse comment, so I'm going to use it. I did a blog post on social media in Asia. And did you know China has 300 million plus people into social media, not connected to the internet, but into social media? 300 million. That's more than the population of the United States. And it's not dominated by Facebook. It's dominated by another organization. And my favorite quote from that whole podcast I listened to was that China is the graveyard of Web 2 platforms from North America. There's all these North American platforms goes in. So here's an example. eBay went to China. Crash, burn. But a guy in China saw what the problem was, and he said, oh, well, the problem is you're charging people for selling stuff. So I'm going to make an eBay, I'm going to call it Hungry Tiger or something like that, and he basically says, you sell as much stuff as you like, I'm not going to charge you. But what he does charge you for is his version of PayPal. He makes all the money on PayPal. Just happens to be 300 million people selling stuff there. So he's making a lot of money. So what's happening in Asia is there's all these internet companies coming from the United States and Europe, and they're going in and they're doing their thing.
Maybe there's some Israeli companies in there.
Oh, probably.
Speaking
but
of
the problem,
Israel-
the problem is, our favorite Israeli is not here tonight. But the problem is they're going in with like, hey, we're from North America and we know more than you, a 5,000-year-old culture. Thank you for playing. Welcome to Culture Shock 101. You lose. And they're going in and they just like crash and burn. But during that experience, the people that they hire get to see where the problem is. They fix the problem, boom, they roll something out, and they are making a ton of moolah. So that is very, very, very interesting. The other thing that's really interesting is mobile platforms. Malaysia and India, huge mobile platforms, and that is specifically caused by no infrastructure. So there was no wire infrastructure, no telephones and stuff like that.
In
or
rural,
landlines.
in rural India, there's a huge population of people that never had landlines, never had landline internet connections.
But there's 1 billion people that have got a mobile phone.
And it's all high-speed internet now over the mobile network.
Yeah. So, and you know the third country in Asia that has the most mobile phones? Japan. They have a huge telephone infrastructure. But the reason is in Japan, nobody goes home. Because I used to work there.
Yeah.
And I get up at 6 in the morning, I take the train, I get to work. And, on my way to work, there'll be all these people texting. And then I get off and I go to work. And then we'd be on the computers all day long. And then instead of going home, I go to a bar because that's what you got to do. And then there'd be all these people texting on the way to the bar. And then you get to the bar and we'd be talking and then transferring information on their phones and texting. And then you go home at 10, 11 o'clock at night, texting all the way. And then you crash and you go to sleep and you get up in the morning. You start all over again. So nobody was at home for long enough periods to actually utilize the internet to communicate with people. So that's why
They get all the
Japan-
cool phones first.
Oh,
Totally.
they have.
Oh, yeah.
They had G3 like 75 years ago. It's unbelievable. They have these little wooden things, and it had G3 on it, and he put them
Yeah,
together.
it's funny. A friend of mine, his wife, we were talking about the iPhone 4 and how you have the FaceTime and all that, and she starts laughing, and she says, "We had that 6 years ago on their mobile phones, right?" And
Yeah.
it's brand new here, so it's hilarious. Just how far ahead they are.
The thing that really gets me, I haven't been, I've been away from Asia for 7 years, and some of the technology and concept that are being introduced, like the instant visa and RDF cards, RDF,
RFID cards.
RFID cards.
Chip.
Everyone's like, "Ooh, it's really cool." They had that like for 7 years in Japan. It's old technology. People's like, "What? Oh, that's old." Nobody uses that. Well, they use it, but it's so integrated in society, we don't even think about it. And here it's like, ooh, it's the newest best thing. So just because you're from North America doesn't mean that we're cutting edge anymore. There are a lot of very, very cool things happening all over the world, and we're just like so arrogant. Oh, we're first world, we're so cool. And we are missing the boat because, it's a culture thing. Oh, I'm from the American, I'm an American and I know the best and I'm going to go change your culture. And you fail, and then you get all disgruntled about it. So, well, no, maybe if you'd gone in there and listened and used like the social media style of reality. So you go and you listen with your 2 ears and you only speak with your one mouth every now and again, you actually might make a ton of money. So it's a great platform.
It's an emerging market space for sure. Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Malaysia, what the growth rate in Malaysia is this year? 28%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. In BC, Canada, for all you people that aren't here, the highest growth rate BC has ever had in the boom times where it's out of control. It's like, oh my God, we're making so much money, it's out of control. 4%. We don't know what boom times are here. There, it's crazy. I was in Asia. The boom times. I mean, Tokyo was totally taking off.
It's an emerging economy, though.
Yeah.
So it's
Tokyo is not an
little bit-
emerging economy.
Well, Malaysia and
China.
China.
Come on. The population of Vancouver, 500,000 people, maybe. Then you look at Tokyo or Malaysia, 10 million, 3 million, 4 million people, and none of them own a house. And that's a big difference. Here in BC, in Vancouver, it's like, oh, somebody was talking $250,000 for a 600 square foot room. And in Japan, they don't even think about it. We can't afford that. So we're not going to spend that money. We just rent. And now we have all this expendable income supercharging the economy. It's nuts because nobody's buying property. There is no property to buy.
A matured economy.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's pretty
China,
flatlined right now.
they're just now at the point where the average consumer is buying consumer durables like dishwashers, and that's
Actually,
that's a turning
that's-
point in the economy.
It's really funny you mentioned the word dishwashers. There are no dishwashers in Asia. They don't exist because maids are so cheap.
Yeah,
When I was
in
in
the
Thailand,
past.
in Thailand, I had a maid.
Nice.
Oh, maids are fantastic. Are you kidding? Not only do they do the dishes, they can actually cook the food. Really good device. Really good device. And talking about fuzzy logic, wow, they're great. So anyways, we did digress a little bit from games, but that's okay.
It's all good.
So
we
we
did
could tie
talk. We
social
talked
media.
about games. We talked about a little bit about mobile phones.
Yeah.
I keep hearing that. Did you hear that one?
Nobody's hearing it. I think you're hallucinating, dude.
That's the B1.
It's exactly.
It's the B1.
You know, it's going to be
All
funny.
right, so let's
it's
move
not going to be
on.
recording, and people say, "What the heck is Andrew talking about? This, man, that B1 stuff is too heavy. Man. It's too
That
heavy."
might be true. It could be my headphones, but I know you've been hearing it too.
No, I'm denying it.
But we're both on B1. No one else can hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still me? No.
Well, they don't have headphones on, dude, so they're not plugged into the machine.
That's right. Okay, so we talked about games, and now let's talk a little bit about Twitter tools like Clout.com.
Oh, yeah, Clout. Now, how many people know about Clout.com? Oh, me. Oh, me.
Clout.com is basically a site where you can see your online clout in social media, specifically Twitter and a little bit Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, it changes it. And in fact, it changes a lot. I discovered it, went in, checked it out. I got a 7. Now, the high-end guys are getting 80s or 85s. And it's beautifully graphed out, and it shows you what type of are you
A feeder, or are you an
feeder,
influencer?
influencer, all
Yeah.
sorts of really cool stuff. It really tells you the type of communication you are. Shows you graphs about if you retweet and stuff like that. And then about 2 days later, I got an email saying, "Oh, by the way, we've interfaced Facebook because I don't Twitter that much, but I Facebook a lot. We've integrated your Facebook information. Go check yourself out." I jumped to a 20.
Nice.
So very, very interesting that they've actually
So
brought that information in.
I signed up as well.
Yeah, so
and,
how'd you rate?
I rated at a 6 on Twitter because I don't actually Twitter as much as I should either.
But
I'm,
you
I'm
Facebook.
getting into it more. But Facebook, yeah, and I added it. I had said 72 hours. I haven't got my score yet.
So once
with
again,
Facebook included, but we'll see.
so it's badge driven. I mean, that's another. You go there and you say, "Wow, I actually know where I am in the social world of communication."
Yeah,
And it can
now,
guide you and direct you.
Here's a point, a negative point to that. And,
Okay.
And we both listened to the podcast Answer Man, and he was saying that he was all about building community and putting information out there, and not doing it for any other reason.
Hey, what was his rating?
And now he was pretty good. I think I
It
don't
was like
remember.
65,
Yeah,
66.
yeah, he had a high rating.
That's
so,
good.
So then he got into checking his clout score every now and then, and then it became something more than just, he's like, "Oh, I don't like this. I'm doing this to think, how can I get my score up higher instead of how can I build my community? How can I give to my community? How can I provide good information?" and blah, blah, blah.
No. I think you're wrong there. Okay, I beg to differ, as they say in certain books.
I'm just saying what he said, and
he might not be right. Just because he's the podcast
No.
answer man doesn't mean he's the social understanding answer man, right? He's a podcast guru. What I like about it is it helps direct you, and it'll motivate you to become more like after me being there. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start actually doing conversations.
I agree.
And more retweets and stuff like that because now I see this is how I can build it, and it's built on the reality of how Twitter works. It's not built on some fictitious game-based thing, even though it is kind of.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could compete with someone in a virtual world on Twitter and see who could get the better score, the real Twitter or the?
Well, why don't you just do
virtual
it in the
Twitter?
real world? That's even more interesting.
You can
And you know
usually
what
tell
happens?
No, I
the
was just,
amount of followers.
being
the
facetious.
NASCAR thing, the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by how many followers is basically how you can, rate yourself on the score.
Yeah, but you can get followers.
But you can have 40,000 followers and zero influence because you're not retweeting and stuff. That's what's interesting about it.
okay.
It'll show you several charts.
It's not just the retweeting; it's the interaction
Yeah,
with your
interaction.
with your
With your
followers
Yeah,
and
how many
whether they
personal
followed
messages you're
back.
getting.
And there's so many different metrics to it. But like a celebrity, you'll get thousands, if
Thousands
not
of followers.
tens of thousands,
Well,
or
okay, it's
hundreds of thousands
Lady
of
Gaga,
followers.
1.6 million followers, right?
Yeah.
But she's only got a 40 rating.
Huh.
Where Guy Kawasaki,
Yeah.
he's got an 82.
Well, he's on that thing 24/7.
Yeah, but he's only
Yeah.
got 82,000 followers.
But you know the
His amount of content, though. I have both those people on
but
my
he's-
feeds, and
but
I
he's
find
pushing-
Gary Kawasaki
Oh,
to be
he's like
way
boom, boom,
better
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
than Lady Gaga.
But he's
For
using,
sure.
but he's using it as an advertising thing. He's using it in marketing because he has a content creation device that is creating tons and tons and tons of content. All he says, yeah, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. Kind of like Dig.
Yeah.
I was doing a Dig. I'd be tons of stuff to play with. In fact, that's what dignations is all about. These two guys talking about
But-
things that their device has.
you know
got great
the
scores on.
promoted tweets and advertising in Facebook, they are more interested in small communities with small Twitter users with big influence on their small community rather than, you know, LeBron James or these other big celebrity Twitter users who have a huge following but not as much influence on those followers.
Right. Well, you know why? Because I am in love with this woman. She has just bought me a huge black beer. She's bent over and given it to me, beautifully presented. Beautifully presented. I love the way she giggles. I mean, really. I mean, look at her. She's like a snake here, just like undulating around our mics and stuff. You have a snake?
I am a snake. Chinese
Oh.
zodiac.
The
Oh,
year of the
really?
snake.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy.
She's definitely slinky. Mm.
Well, you know, I wasn't going to have another one, but for scientific purposes, it's a good idea
Yeah,
because we are on the B1
Is this
patch.
number 4 or number 5?
I don't know.
I think it's number 4.
It must be number 4.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a big. And
Yeah,
these
but
are
these-
big. These are
Those are
British
big.
glasses. These are like 5 Canadian
See,
beers
these
in one of
these ones here, they reserve for the regulars. So you get it for cheaper and you get like 1.5 as much beer.
I'm on my third Coke.
Whoa, and it's showing you're all red in the face. I used to be a Coke addict too, compared to Pepsi. And I was like, no, Pepsi, it sucks. I always drink Coke. And I'd be like in the agency, like, gunga, 10 or 15 Cokes a day.
Yeah.
I lived on that stuff.
Yeah, I
and it
used to,
suppressed
too.
my appetite. I couldn't eat.
I used to drink a lot of pop back in the day. I don't drink any. I don't
in
touch
the
it
1930s,
anymore.
they had Coke in it as an additive. But, I mean, it wasn't enough to really count. What?
Seeing what your cloud is.
Yeah, Clout.com,
yeah.
it's cool. It's a cool
It's really
concept.
cool.
It's great.
It's a driving. I think it could become a driving force. Very, very, and very
There's
nice
other
graphics.
there's other sites
Nice
like
matrix
it, like
stuff.
Twitter Grader.
No, but
There's
they're
one
graphics
that does your
very-
value in financial dollars, so you can see how much
Yeah.
money it costs. Twit value, I think
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the website.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
cool.
Twit Value. That's a good one. Another good one for finding or managing your list, if you will. Friendorfollow.com.
Yep.
So you can see how many of your friends how many of your followers.
Oh, real.
Yeah, you can see how many people you're following or following you back, and it's a good way of managing your list.
You can see the spam
And,
artists.
I did that for a
I got
while.
these really incredibly beautiful women that
Yeah,
tweet
but
me all
never,
the time.
They never tweet ever.
Well, they do. They tweet, and I link, and it's like, JoJo's massage parlor, and welcome to my bosom, and it's like, not that I defriend them because I don't want to be a nasty guy.
Yeah, there is
but-
no way to defriend a follower. Like you can only block them. You can't actually take them off your list.
Well, that's worse than defriending. It's like,
well, it is, but they
You
still,
don't even
they're
know
still
I
on
don't
your
like
list,
you.
which is kind of
You
kind
can
of
block
interesting.
them though, so that they don't.
Well, you can block them, but it doesn't actually take them completely off your list.
but does
Yeah.
it take you out of? But I'm wondering if all these devices take that into account. I'm sure they can see
Can
that
you
on the
you
algorithm.
can take someone off? Like let's say for example, with Twitter lists, someone adds you to a list, and you don't want to be on that list.
I've been added on a couple of lists, and
Can't get off.
Well, I don't want to get off those lists.
Yeah, you can
but
get off the list by blocking the person
by
that put you on the
blocking the person
list,
on the list.
and that'll take you off the list. Like let's say you got onto a list of let's say Bob got put onto.
Well, I got put on a list called "People My Friends Talk To," which was kind of interesting the other
Oh,
day.
interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I don't know this person. I've never talked to them, but apparently they know who I talk to. So
Yeah,
Yeah, well, and you also get that when you visit certain areas
Somebody put us
that are
on,
connected to Facebook, and they say, "Oh, it's interesting. You're here, and here's 5 of your friends that have visited here. Isn't that cool?" And going, "Oh, okay, that's a little creepy too, because those 3 friends I don't know."
yeah, that was funny when Alison Bannister,
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
WordPress expert,
Oh, I've got an amazing story about it, but
she
continue
came in
on.
and said, "Hey, we've got a lot of the same friends. We've got a lot of the same friends on Facebook." And he's like, "Yeah, the wonders of Facebook. We both have friends that we both don't know."
Well, here's an ironic thing. I was talking to my sister, and she said, "Oh, I know this web developer, and she's looking for a person to help her out." And I said, "Oh, who is this?" And she was like, "Alison Bannister." It's like,
Yeah, there you go.
"Oh, yeah, she was on our show." And she says, "Yeah, she's looking for help as well." I can't really help her because I charge $2,500 to do a web development, and she charges $350. So I don't know if she hired me.
Well, she told us
make
not
much
to
money.
read that out on the card because she raised her prices.
Well, even 400. Even if she charged 1,000, she'd still lose $1,500 if she hired me. And I charge. If you want me to come in and consult with you and make you a WordPress template, it's going to cost you $2,500 to $3,500. And people are like, "What?"
Yeah, but you're not just paying for the template.
No, you're paying for 30 years of experience,
You're
and
paying
your
for
website's going to actually work.
You're paying for the ideas and the marketing advice
but people
behind
don't get,
the.
they go into stuff. They fall on the floor. I have to use those little thing under the nose. They get up and I say, "So, would you like to continue the conversation? Or do you want to go for a beer and not worry about it?" So that I get a
Either
lot of
way,
free
Bob's
beer that
happy.
way. Yeah, exactly.
Bob is always happy.
A lot of
Bob's
free beer.
happy if he's getting the beer.
I love shocking those clients. Love shocking them. Actually, my favorite line, and I've actually done this, where people, they call you, say, "Hey, Bob, we want to do a brochure and a rebranding and this and that. It'd be fantastic." And say, "Great. Can you put a quote together for us?" Says, "Yeah, I can do that right now." It's how much? How's $1.5 million sound? I say, "What? You got $1.5 million? We've only got $10,000. I said, "Well, okay, great. I'll do it for 10. But don't waste my time spending 3 days developing a $1.5 million quote when you don't got $1.5 million. Just tell me how much money you got to spend, and I'll do something for that much money."
Yeah, that's the
it's
problem.
It's like, develop
Yeah.
a game for me. How much is it going to cost to develop a
Yeah,
game?
I got $50.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, you go, well, for $50, you just spent that talking with me.
Yeah, for
so
$50
I'll
you got the
invoice you
first
telephone.
page.
Yeah. Telephone call with Bob, $50. There you go. Your $50 spent. What are you talking about? Oh, sorry, that's $75 now. That's two questions. It's like, $80.
It is interesting, like how much people are willing to pay for professional services, such as, like you said, making WordPress templates or even games and stuff like that. It's kind of,
It's ridiculous
It's kind
how
of
little
ridiculous.
it-
Well, yeah. Okay, so back to the podcast answer, man. He charges $150
An hour.
per hour,
And it's cheap.
and that's pretty
Should be
cheap.
charging $300 or $400.
He's worth a lot more than that, but he used to charge $50 an hour when he first started.
I know.
He's raised his rates, but
you know what it is?
But no, what he said is that for a lot of the stuff that he does, you can find somebody out there that's willing to do it for $10 an hour.
totally.
But are you going to get the same value and the same experience? No,
Not even close. Not even
no,
close.
but
usually.
but you'll be able to find someone that can set you up with a podcast and get started and give you some advice, get you some social media stuff and whatever, and for $10 an hour, no problem. You can definitely get it done.
Doesn't make you any money.
But he's still got a lineup of people paying him $150 an hour. No problem. He's overbooked. He turns people away because he's too busy.
He said, "Oh, I'm going to raise my rates so I don't have because I want to have more time on my hands." He raised himself to $150, and now he's even busier. Because everybody's saying, "Oh, so," but really, he should be charging, I would say, $450 to $500 an hour, like a lawyer's rate, because that's what his value is. He doesn't know that, and he's undervaluing the whole industry, and he's actually screwing up. I charge the rates I charge because I've worked on the international market. I know what this stuff is worth. I know how much a company can make if they hire the right type of person. Now, if you want to hire some, guy that just came out of BCIT, which is a technical institute here in Burnaby, and he basically has, I can do CSS program, but he doesn't know why he does CSS programming. That's the difference. You hire the podcast answer man. He tells you to do something. He knows why you have to do that. And that's the big difference. And that's where the value is. So he said, "Look, you set up your podcast this way. You do this and that, and you do this, and this, and that will help you become successful." And he knows why, because he's done that, he's lived that, and he knows the value. Oh, hang on, our technical expert for games has to go smoke a cigarette.
Not smoke a cigarette, but
Yeah. Well, we are in Vancouver, so that's code for.
that's definitely not code for that. Just for any of those podcast listeners out there.
No, he's a nice Vancouver
my
boy.
games expert, though. I guess I should tell people who I am, right?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Maybe I don't know.
No, well, you use your. Do you have a get like an internet name? Because my internet
I have
name
an
is
internet name. Yeah.
my internet name is Killrag.
Killrag.
Yeah, because that's garlic spelled backwards.
That's really cool.
I know. It's like totally awesome.
Killrag, garlic backwards.
Garlick.
And mine is Gangaroots.
Gangaroos.
Roots.
Ganger Roots.
Roots.
Because it's just a weird name you can get lots
That's
of
a good
.coms
internet
with.
name.
Yeah,
I
it
just
is a-
get all the usernames because nobody else would use that name.
Yeah, well, who would want Ganger Roots?
Mine's Twisted Magic.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
because... and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It's all
because
right.
if you ever met the guy, he is a Twisted Magic type of guy.
Well, it was just when I was growing younger, I was a DJ, so I was the Twisted DJ.
So he was like 12 years old.
Yeah, when I was 12 years old, actually. Yeah, I did it for about 5 years till I was 17. Yeah, it was quite interesting.
Twisted Magic is a DJ?
Well, it started out being a DJ thing with Twisted DJ because
Really?
my name's James.
So back then, did you use those funny like
CD
iPod things?
Actually, I was one of the first DJs in Calgary to start using MP3 players when I went out to put my
Nice.
shows out.
Did you use the mixer?
So it was like
You know,
1999, and I had the mixer along with
Oh, that's
cooked
cool.
into my MP3
so
player.
cool.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened to people. It's like, whoa, that's so cool.
Did you have
got
one
these
of
two
those
little bricks.
turntables that you could...
No. My business didn't actually have the funds.
I
to
knew,
get those would be really sweet.
I know someone that was he was a DJ. I think he called himself deaf in one ear because he was a DJ that was actually literally deaf in one ear.
That's
His
awesome.
name's Chad. He's I don't think he does it as much anymore, but he was
half
he was
deaf in the other
big
ear
into
now.
it before. He was pretty good actually,
Yeah,
from what I heard. I'm not really
DJing was an interesting way.
It's an art, man.
It taught me a lot about social stuff for sure.
And groupies.
And groupies. It taught me about how to get people to kind of conform to one sort of song.
Yeah, you really play the crowd. It's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
But
what DJs do.
But
yeah.
you did in that Calgary. Did you ever get any line dancers messing up your gig?
Well, actually, a lot of people would ask for line dancing. You would be surprised, but most crowds they love songs with people
Interaction.
with directions. Yeah.
Welcome to games.
I think Dave Chappelle said that as well. As long as there's like instructions, you get people to dance every time.
Well, you
Yeah.
know what? As long as there's social acceptance of doing that, so everybody in Calgary with the cowboy boots and the cowboy hats on, these buxom Calgary girls, and they're all doing. There's 12 of them doing their thing. You can get 30 of them out there.
Yeah.
But you get
And then
one
guys-
in Vancouver, not going to work.
Well, it depends on the value, their social value, because the girls that are going out there are trying to increase their social value, and then the guys are like seeing that, so they're going out there because it's generally acceptable, and then they see that they're cooperating with the group, and
Yeah. and
Okay,
you can say-
so,
you can meet not one girl, but
so
seven
Twisted
girls.
Magic is
Yeah.
your screen name, kind of
Well,
your
it
call
is
sign,
my-
I guess.
Well,
Would you call it that?
It's the name of my consulting company.
Okay,
That's his
cool.
brand.
It's my brand.
It's
Yeah,
your
I've been
brand,
using
yeah.
it for the last.
So, as a consultant, what do you teach people or coach people with?
Well, usually it's on general game design or branding. I guess I've done some of that. I actually do quite a few different things. Like I'm a blogger as well for a video game website called villagegamer.net.
Cool.
So they've been very helpful.
Mhm.
Got to do a couple of interviews with some people at EA and keep growing the community for that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you
Very cool.
Twisted Magic, I'm on every once in a while because I spend a lot of time playing Xbox Live.
So your real name is James.
Is James? Yes, yeah.
Last
So
name?
there you go. The
Last
mysteries
name,
finally solved. Yeah, we're not
I
going to be
could-
put that in there.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
could
Midway?
put my last name. James Kargs.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
who I am.
Kargs, that would be a great branded name. Kargs.
Yeah.
Kargs Games. Don't be messing with us.
Well, maybe. Yeah. I am
Kargs.
going to Montreal next week for the Montreal International Game Summit. So should
Hey,
be kind of interesting.
do you want to blog for us? Well, or a podcast for us?
I could do a little bit of stuff.
Totally. I mean, get you into some parties.
Yeah, a couple of parties going on. There's like an Intel party that I'll be going to on a Thursday night, I think. So that should be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Unity is doing their Unite conference also. in
Any
Montreal.
LAN parties happening?
Not that I know of. But
That would be cool to
it-
crash a LAN party. Wow.
Crash a LAN party.
Well, we used to do LAN parties in Thailand. We did, the Star Wars, they had the LAN Racer game?
yeah.
And we had LAN parties with the LAN Racer. Red wine, crazy Thailand, like 5 of the top advertising agency guys. We in my studio, and we had all these different computers, and people, every game, we'd switch computers because different computers had higher processing. So like the guys who were stuck on my secretary's computer would always lose because they couldn't go fast enough, and the guys who were on my computer, whoa,
Fast.
oh yeah, super fast.
I can definitely give you a report when I get back from the Montreal International Game Summit for what I saw.
Awesome. You know what?
Things like
And live twittering.
And you know what?
I will be twittering from the event.
Well, we
talked
This'll
about
be
this
like
before.
3 weeks.
We
so-
You
talked-
can log into our Twitter account.
We talked about this before. We were we were saying, why are we into this podcasting thing and doing the Bunker Project and all that? And one of the reasons,
it's the black beer.
It's the black beer, but one of the other reasons is to go to
What? Montreal.
no, Las Vegas, where the center of the universe for all sorts of conventions and everything. We're going to go down to Vegas.
I want to go to the Dig Show. I want to be on the Dig Show with those two guys. I can't remember their names. But
Kevin Rose.
And they chug beer big time.
Yeah, well, their show's over.
No, they changed their mind. Sorry, that announcement I made a couple of shows ago. I logged on again. Those guys, they changed their mind. They're going to keep doing it indefinitely.
Cool.
But they're going to do more live shows, which is kind of weird because one of them doesn't want to do more live shows, and one of them does want to do more live shows. So I think that's something to do with a relationship with a girl.
You know
It's
what
kind
we
of like
should
a
do?
soap opera with those.
You know
guys.
what? I
Jeez.
think we should.
I'm so jealous.
I think we should, once we're finished, we should send them.
Let's send Twisted Magic down to
Send them the
recruit 'em.
link to this episode
All right.
for the next episode in 2 weeks when we unveil the truth about the vitamin B1 patch.
And the Australian beer if it gets
And,
here.
for them, I think it would help them if it works.
You know what? If we did that, we got the Australian beer in, I think we could send that down to them as a dig story.
You think we could do some QR codes also for Montreal? Go
Absolutely.
throw some
Well,
up on the wall?
have you got the PDF?
I'll get the PDF.
Yeah, I've got the download. It's all ready to go, dude. That is a campaign that's ready to go viral big time.
Hopefully I can go find some place, sketchy and put it up on the side of the wall and maybe.
Well,
someone
like
see it.
Montreal, the whole city is pretty sketchy, I tell you. They all speak a foreign language there with their crazy English accent. What do you call those? QR? What did that mean? Oh, all right. So
check
it's
it
not
out.
a very good accent.
All right, so we are in
How many
overtime.
minutes? How many minutes?
We are in overtime.
1 hour, 17 minutes? No, 7 minutes.
1 hour and 56 seconds.
We
And,
got tons of time. Hey, Leo Laporte, hour 57 minutes. Almost 2 hours. Oh, yeah.
Well, really,
Yeah.
the optimum time for a podcast is 26 minutes.
Yeah, what do they know?
Because,
What do they know?
because that's the average time of a
Hey,
of a,
Leo
of a
Laporte makes
commute.
2.5 million. Yeah. I fast forward to a lot of his ads.
But a lot
so-
of people watch Leo Laporte on their PCs.
It's because he's so cute and chubby.
Streaming on their PCs, and also they download the podcast and listen to them in the car and when they're in the gym and all that kind of stuff. But see, the thing is with Leo Laporte's, they go on and on about a whole bunch of different things, and people are just happy to listen to a portion of a show. Or 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They don't have to watch the whole hour and 57 minutes. I don't. That's just me.
Well, you don't have to listen to it. Like, I fast forward to the ads, even though they're quite well done. But, yeah, they've got segments. It's like 20, 30, 40-minute segments.
To me, I just tune in when I'm doing nothing. I put it on twit.tv and
Yeah.
go on the live feed, and I just watch whatever happens to be on.
Yeah, that would be an interesting subject. How do you consume your podcast? We get some feedback here. Use our phone line. We're paying big bucks for that phone, guys. So phone it and tell us how you consume the Bunker Project.
My estimate would be that most people are listening on a device like an iPhone or iPod, or they're streaming it on the Facebook page. Big shout out to anybody that's listening in Washington State, that's just started listening in Washington State, or in the state of Pennsylvania. We're getting a ton of downloads from both of those states. Hey, give us a shout. 1-877-636-1474, or go on our Facebook page and tell us where you heard about us, because we are getting...
Or if you've downloaded, because we're really curious.
We're really curious because we're getting a ton of downloads.
It's like
literally...
500?
Literally, there's like 400 of you that are listening. We're curious. We want to know, is this some kind of a glitch, or are there real people
I think it's a
in
cult
the state
movement.
of Pennsilvania and Washington State that are listening to the Bunker Project?
And I've got a
Maybe
question
they
about
listened to one
Pennsylvania.
episode and then heard Bob talking about, making
Yeah.
fun of Americans, and now you're not listening anymore. But-
Well, they're vampires. Oh, no,
So
that's
that-
Transylvania. Sorry. Right, Pennsylvania, that's cold.
All
Sorry
right,
to say.
so that is a wrap for this week. Call 1-877-636-1474. Go to our Bunker Project Facebook page.
And we'll see you next week.
And subscribe on iTunes and leave us a comment on iTunes as well. Thank you.